Listeners, we're back. We only took a week or so off from our usual schedule, but it still feels good to be back behind the mic. Speaking of mics, Mike, how was your time away?
Keir, it's funny you should ask, and maybe I should be embarrassed to admit this. I don't know. We'll find out. But I spent a good amount of time surfing eBay for paintings by a certain artist who may or may not go by B. Wilder.
You told me about this, which of course sent me down some online rabbit holes as well. But before we get to that, tell our listeners what you discovered.
In my Wilder research, and for those who not on video, quotes research, I stumbled across a little factoid. So the research is real. Where we're going to go, TBD. But I stumbled across a factoid that is real, that our favorite director, how specifically later in life, he did start to paint. Now, that is true. In fact, he was like a prolific painter from what I can tell. He made a ton of art, so much so that it's pretty cheap on eBay.
And I couldn't believe exactly how much art he created or how cheap it was. And since the signature on most of the paintings we found was B. Wilder, just an initial, not the full name, I ended up spending a lot of time looking at Billy Wilder autographs and comparing signatures until I qualified as an amateur graphologist.
And congrats on the new gig. What is the going rate there on that?
It's just below notary public.
Ouch.
But yeah, so concerning the signature in question, what makes things even more confusing is that sometimes B. Wilder also signs as Billy, and there are a couple of other Billy Wilder painters out there that are obviously not the real Billy Wilder. And like Fox Mulder, I want to believe, but I couldn't pull the trigger. Mike, did you buy one?
I did buy one, and I'll be honest too, I also pulled, when I made this discovery, I pulled in also my good friend of the show, Rob Stern. I pulled him into this vortex as well. He's bought a few. We're both in deep, but the one I bought, which I actually have received here, I don't know if I gotta send you a photo of it. It's a beautiful painting. It's like this beautiful winter scene with a little cabin and a leafless tree. But most of the paintings I found, they seemed similar in style, but most of them were, they had maritime themes.
Which is a lot more up my alley. As you know, I'm a big fan of nautical adventures, particularly old books about, shipwrecked sailors and desperate escapes and things like that. And so if I can be convinced that these are real Billy Wilder paintings, that is exactly what I will buy. But one of the things that just I struggled with was, again, there were so many of them, and some of them were good. Like, as you say, some of the landscapes were pretty good paintings. And then some of the maritime themes, I was like, Billy Wilder's a guy with a renowned art collection, as we've talked about a little bit, but not too much on this show. He started collecting art as a young man and had a good eye, and he bought a lot of modern art by artists who would become masters. And when late in life he sold his art collection, it was worth millions and millions of dollars. People were really impressed. And so some of the paintings, like there's a ship with a sea captain superimposed in the sky, kind of like one of those old school portraits where you're looking at yourself. Like, right. I just thought, I can't see Billy Wilder painting that one.
I have seen that one, and I've seen it I believe I saw that one like at an auction site as well. Here's the thing that I will say about the authenticity or lack thereof. Like, I really don't know. But the one thing that kind of clings to hope, my hope clings to, whatever the case may be, is that, well, two things. One is that maybe I enlisted Rob because I know Rob will go deep in the rabbit hole. So thank you, Rob. Bless you. And he did a lot of research to really kind of check the authenticity himself. And he was similar to you. He started a new career and he was comparing signatures, and the B. Wilder looks like Billy Wilder in the terms of not his autograph, but the way he, his signature on the paintings. And then we were kind of cross-referencing that to paintings that were up for auction, like official auction, not
Right.
not eBay auction, like real auction. And
Right.
um, what's interesting is that also the second thing is that those paintings, even for auction, were only, so I bought my painting here was like $60, you know,
Yeah.
so on eBay they range, that was like the lowest that I found. Some were like 80, some were like 200 to 300. But even on the auction sites that seemed legitimate, they weren't more than like 300-400 bucks. Like none of them were going for thousands, which kind of blows my mind because if this is Billy Wilder painting these, you know,
Yeah.
creating these paintings, like that's it's, I don't know, it's huge to me. Maybe it's not huge to others, and maybe it's because he made so many, or maybe it's just because they're fake. I don't know.
I did find one of those nautical ones listed for 7,500, but I saw a very similar one for just a few $100s, as you say. So it's a mystery. If somebody finds a smoking gun, you or Rob or any listener, please share. I found a lot. I just didn't find anything that felt conclusive to me. But of course, like you, I would love to own an authentic Billy Wilder, and I would snap some up.
I'm gonna hang it, and I'm just gonna believe that it's Billy Wilder and not Bob Wilder. So like we're just gonna, but it's, you know what? It's funny that we're talking about art and authenticity with Wilder, because our next episode after this one will be an examination of The Christophers, which you've seen. I have not seen yet as of this recording. It's Steven Soderbergh's new film, which happens to be about art and authenticity. We have a full review coming on April 17th, so mark your calendars.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's even about paintings and authenticity. So that's going to be a really fun one to get into. I can't wait for you to see it. I can't wait to get your response. Spoiler alert, I enjoyed it a lot. Can't wait to dig in.
Were
I
you
do
watching
want
it
to
being
talk.
like watching this about art and forgery and be like, man, Mike's such a dope?
Maybe that's why I'm so suspicious. I don't know. Maybe the movie influenced my opinion of real life. Curse you, movie. I do want to talk about Soderbergh briefly today, though, because in a recent interview with Filmmaker about the Christophers, he threw out this little aside. He
Mhm.
said, it's worth talking about what that technology might be good at. I've been working with AI lately on the John Lennon and Yoko Ono documentary that we're almost done with. AI has been helpful in creating thematically surreal images that occupy a dream space rather than a literal space. And that's been really fun because you need a PhD in literature to tell it what to do. But like every other piece of technology, it desperately requires very close human supervision. Mike, care to react?
Not really, but I feel like it's our job. This is complex. This is very complex because here's what I'll say. And this is one of those things, Keir, where you have to say, you know, depiction is not endorsement. And I'm going to say I don't endorse AI. I'm obviously, I don't use it. I will talk about, I did have a small adventure in it just in terms of like, I had an exposure to it. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But the reality is, AI is going to be part of our lives moving forward. That's it. Like it's not going away. I wish it would. I wish we never opened this Pandora's box. Tech bros decided they should, and they did, and we're now stuck with it. And it's going to be part of art, it's going to be part of Hollywood. Now, there are varying degrees. There's the AI that's like, this is a tool that you can use. I'll give you a quick example. I had this film, the script that I was shopping around trying to get produced, and the budget. I thought it'd be a lot cheaper. I was wrong. I thought it'd be about a $2 to $3 million budget. It ended up being more like a $5 to $7 million budget, which for many reasons makes it prohibitive. Not only because it's hard to raise that much capital, but because in this world of streaming, it's hard to make that back. You know, if you're not getting a theatrical release and having to recoup that much money is very difficult. But I remember a producer saying, like, well, in a couple of years, this will be a $2 to $3 million movie because we'll be able to just, it's a period piece and you need like these specific locations. Like we could just do this with AI and a $5 million movie becomes a $2 million movie. And the ethics of that are very tricky to someone like me because I'm like, well, it's the difference between getting a movie made and being shoppable and not being made at all. So that's hard. That's a hard thing to wrestle with. I want to sit here and have a hard line against AI, and I don't know what decision I'd make. I really don't. But I also think about like the way that we use technology in our lives in general, and like, where is the line? Like, where's the ethical line? Like, we use technology that have eroded relationships, that have created this massive toxicity. Like, social media is horrible for our world, relentlessly horrible. The amount of disinformation and how bad it is for our minds, our moods, our emotions, is just the truth is certainly out there, like Fox Mulder would say. But we still use social media all the time. We're still on it. So like, why is like, oh, that's we're gonna keep doing that and that's okay, but AI, like, on social media, people like, I literally saw people giving obituaries to Soderbergh, and it's like, which that's a whole nother thing about like, look at how much good he's done and how amazing he is and
Yeah.
how he's advanced technology and furthered film and etc. Like, he's made this one potential misstep. We don't know what the incorporation was or how it works in the movie, but like, where is the tech where's the line with technology, I guess, is the question. There's a lot of ethical stuff that I'm struggling with. I'm sad to hear Soderbergh say this. I am, but I also, it's a quandary for me. How about you?
As a writer and a creator myself, I take a hard line against AI. Like you, I will not use it in any way that I can help using it. Of course, as you say, it's getting harder and harder to draw the line because so many just random tools, AI is being foisted on us, whether we want it or not. It's, there's constant prompts. It's just like these little evil imps or demons like hovering around the corner of every email you write, every tool you use. Like, care to use AI? Care to use AI? And it's like, no, I don't want to. I tried to turn off the AI functions in Gmail once, but then they disabled some other tools I use religiously, like the tab function in in my Gmail inbox. So I had to reactivate the AI function. I still don't use it. I don't use it to write or review emails or anything, but they are so insidious at forcing it on you that, yes, it's, as you say, it's very hard to know where the lines are. But wherever I can consciously avoid using I will do so. Certainly, I will never use it to help my creative process or my writing. Um, I'm actually kind of working on an essay about this right now because, whatever. People don't need to hear another writer moaning about AI, but it's partly to help organize my own thoughts. And, I think where I come down is just that art and learning comes from the friction, and AI is designed to reduce the friction. And if all the friction is of the process is taken out, what are we left with? Like, what are we going to learn? What's going to be the memorable part of the struggle? If Werner Herzog could have made Fitzcarraldo pulled that boat over a mountain using an AI, we wouldn't have one of the greatest documentaries about filmmaking ever, but the film itself just wouldn't have been what it was. And that's whatever. There's ethically sticky areas in his filmmaking as well. But I just, when we were just all doing it in a room on a computer, we irrevocably lose something great and something important. I will say that I am very disappointed to hear that Soderbergh is using AI. And, but like you, I think we also need to withhold judgment. If there is any artist working today that I actually kind of trust to be ethical in their use of AI, it would be Steven Soderbergh. Because as he says at the end of that quote, you have to basically watch it, your use of this like a hawk. I trust him to do that. On the other hand, I think you can also argue that the use of AI at all is unethical because, if you're using large language models, generative AI to like write scripts and things, well, those are built on stolen work of other writers. If you're using visual stuff to create images, that is built upon stolen images of other creatives. And so, in some ways, you can't fully extricate that. You can't be ethical about it. You can't be clean in that sense. But it's also not surprising at all to me that Soderbergh would be a guy who does this because he has always embraced technology. He shot films on iPhones. He is somebody who is not nostalgic about shooting on film, right? Like some of our other great working modern directors. He's somebody who's like, well, why would I shoot on film? I can get this lightweight digital camera. I can strap it to my body. I can make a ghost story where I, as the cameraman, literally hide in the closet. He's always embraced
he was the first to use the red camera.
Yeah. He's always embraced what technology can do to allow him to tell the story he has in his head. And, so far I've applauded that, even though I am also like a film nostalgic and all that. But in summary, I'm troubled by it. I don't love it, but I'm going to do my best to withhold judgment and see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that's the thing. I'm withholding judgment. I'm curious. I am disappointed, but I don't know. These are really ethical questions that I think we need to start answering culturally. The whiplash knee jerk of like, oh, somebody used AI, they're dead to me forever now, is silly. That's one pendulum. The other pendulum is the tech bros who are like, Hollywood's so cooked. I made this movie of Tom Cruise fighting John Wayne. It's like, this is you're a moron. So there is a middle ground here. Like there is some way, like I said, it's part of our lives now. I don't like it. We didn't ask for it. But it is part of the tapestry of our lives now. And so what we need to do is really wrangle with the ethical questions of it, of its usage or lack thereof. And I think that ignoring it is not the solution, But I will say this, that I do find puzzling. Like a writer friend of mine uses some AI to get feedback from his work. And he was like really endorsing it. And so I went on an AI site. It's the first time I've ever been on one because I just wanted to see. Like I wasn't like I'm in, because I'm not. But I'm like just wanted to see. And I'll tell you this: what puzzles me about Soderbergh's quote is like and I've heard people say this in the defense. It's like, well, you really need to know how to use AI. You need the PhD in literature, like he says. That is, I'm sorry. I mean, look, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong because I've never created anything. I just had a small, let me see what the interaction is like and ask it some questions, And I was like, oh, and actually, to be frank, gave some honest, good feedback. I was like, well, that's interesting. But like, it is remarkably easy. It is it requires literally nothing from you. So like he has said that. I've heard other people echo the same thing, where it's like, well, you really need to be really skilled to be an AI user. You do not. That's never, like, again, my experience is very limited. I didn't create or generate anything. So maybe I'm missing something, but from my experience, it's been like, you just tell it what to do and it goes and does it. The end.
I remember in the early days of visual AI, a graphic designer who used Midjourney kind of telling me proudly how great they were at writing prompts for Midjourney. And I just felt like this little snap in my chest because I was like, oh, okay. Like that's an art form in itself, But I agree with you. All these people are saying, well, if you don't learn how to use AI, you're going to get left behind. I was like, we're all going to be left behind anyway. I mean, AI is moving on without us.
Right.
And we're not even going to get into the latest news about AI, which is dropping in the 24-hour news cycle before we recorded this episode, in which there's an AI so powerful that basically it could take down the entire internet and all the banking systems. And, it's starting to escape its container. So, things are going to be great. We'll be lucky to have any.
That's literally the last Mission Impossible movie. That is.
Yes. Which they didn't make with AI because they made an awesome movie in the old-fashioned way.
We did. We need you now. We need you now more than ever, Tom Cruise.
Help us, Tom Cruise. You're our only hope. And with that, welcome to the Filmographers podcast, the show where we study a director's entire career, one film at a time. This season is still about the one and only Billy Wilder, we promise. And in this episode, we'll be ranking our top 5 Wilders of the season so far. But when we come back, Mike's going to share his review of an intriguing new film, Genki Kawamura's Exit 8.
Exit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mike, I'm jealous. You went to a screening of Exit 8 without me. Even worse, it sounds like I missed something.
You did actually, yeah, man. It's like I took a flyer on this one. I had seen some things about it. I forget exactly where, but then I got the invite from Neon. They were very generous to extend us an invite, which I thank them for. I really enjoyed it. So basically, the premise is this: for people who don't know, it's based on a video game, which I did not know going in. It really doesn't matter. You don't need to. But basically, it's about this guy who's riding the subway and he gets stuck. You don't really know how, but he gets stuck in this basically escar maze of a subway station where he moves through the tunnels, and the tunnel just is in this circuitous, you know, for lack of a better term, almost like figure eight, where it's the same tunnel over and over and over, and he's just looping around and looping around. Now it becomes in the movie a game, where there are rules in which he can reach exit 8, and that's how you get out. But it's very, very, it's very tricky. The situation that they set up, and it's really cool. I don't want to divulge it because it's worth exploring and discovering on your own. But I just really enjoy the conceit. It's a cool, like, puzzle movie, sort of, Keir. I think you mentioned, like, you thought made you think of, I was gonna say Mickey 8, Mickey 7.
Mickey 17.
Mickey 17. I was like, wait, Mickey 7 is the Exit 8, the sequel? Where it's like this kind of Groundhog Day-ish scenario. But like, what I really enjoyed about it, not just that it's like this clever conceit that they do a lot with, and I'd be really intrigued to see how they made it, which is very fascinating to me on a filmmaking level, because they do a lot of what seems like continuous takes. There were some times where I was like really keenly paying attention. I was like, they got to be cutting somewhere, and I was able to identify like, they did this camera swipe, and I was like, they can, you can cut there. But it seems like a lot of long takes, and you're going through the tunnel and back around, and the shape of it doesn't really make sense, because sometimes he doubles back on himself, he being the main character. So I'm like, well, that can't be possible. You can't double back and then start again and be going backwards essentially. So it's like, how, on a craft level, I was like, how did they do this? It was kind of, I was pretty fascinated by it on just that level. But I also like how, like, they pull you in terms of, like, it feels like a game, so to speak, which makes sense. I'll say something really quick. So, earmuffs if you don't want to. I guess it's not really a spoiler, but basically you got to spot anomalies, is what they call Keir, in the tunnels, to, like, okay, if you spot an anomaly, you have to do something, and if you don't spot an anomaly, which basically a difference, you're free to go forward. So, like, you as the viewer are, like, looking around the subway tunnels trying to, like, spot things as well. So it's kind of like this interactive experience. It's not obnoxious about it. Like, they're not giving you a first person POV or anything like that, but, like, it just draws you in this really cool way. And I found, again, this is a small scale movie. So when you do a small scale movie, you have to do a lot with a little, and the craft is a lot. The conceit and how it pulls you in is a lot. They did enough with the character that made him compelling and interesting. They had enough surprises. There was one surprise in the movie, like, made me gasp. I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe, like, they pulled something off that was, like, really, really genuinely surprising, that like, it really got me, and I really loved that moment. It was solid. Like, there's a few things I can nitpick at. I don't think it's worth nitpicking. Like,
Yeah.
I would see it. It's a cool, it's a good movie made really better by a unique experience.
I definitely want to see it. And I hope to see it in the theater. Do you think it will translate as well on a smaller screen if people aren't able to see it in theaters?
I mean, probably, but I think the big screen really helps with that experience, the immersiveness, because it's so big and you're so kind of, like, locked in, and, like, the bigness of it, like, helps the experience of, like, you, like, kind of, like, craning your neck, like, you're, like, looking down the tunnel trying to spot things. So I think the big screen definitely helps. It's one of those experiences, like, the big screen doesn't help because it's like, it's an F1 or an Avengers, where it's like the spectacle, but I think the big screen helps with the immersion, I guess I can say.
Well, I am definitely going to prioritize getting out to see that one so I can share my own notes. And thanks for the review, Mike.
Yeah, I big thumbs up from me. I don't know where it's playing. I know like locally here it's at the Music Box, and so it might only be at like, for lack of a better term, like specialty theaters and maybe not totally wide. So you might have to seek it out, but I will say that it's worth seeking out. It's a tight 90 minutes. God bless them. So
You know I love that.
I do too. I do too. So yeah, if it's a little bit of an extra drive for some of you, if you have to go that little extra mile, I endorse doing it.
Fantastic. Listeners, we'll be right back with our top 5 Billy Wilder movies so far.
Keir, longtime listeners know that when you're not podcasting, you're a prolific author. Last year, you came out with 2 books, and you already have another one on the way.
That's right, Mike. On March 3rd, I Did Not Kill My Husband will go on sale. It's the 5th book I've written with my writing partner, Linda Jaffe Hull, under the pen name Linda Keir.
I Did Not Kill My Husband. That title sounds strangely familiar.
It should. It's an inversion of Richard Kimball's famous line in The Fugitive as he tries to find the one-armed man who killed his beloved wife. Our book is a thriller that pays homage to Andrew Davis's modern classic. Only our wrongly accused protagonist is a social media influencer whose platform is all about what she calls ethical gold digging. And since she already admitted she married her husband for his money, no one believes she didn't kill him to cash out his insurance policy.
So no train crash, no one-armed man, no Tommy Lee Jones?
Nope. But I have no doubt film fans will enjoy the way we tip our hats to those famous story elements.
I can't wait to read it, unless they make it into a movie. Then I can just watch it.
From your mouth to Hollywood's ears, Mike. In the meantime, listeners, you can pre-order I Did Not Kill My Husband wherever books are sold. If you want a signed copy, order it from the Filmographers' favorite bookstore, Exile in Bookville. Visit exileinbookville.com. Today, we're celebrating the fact that we're almost halfway through our second season. Yes, I said almost halfway. Wilder directed 25 American features, and we've only covered 11. But hey, it's our show, so we get to play by our own rules.
We are podcasting rebels, Keir, though it feels like we should be further along in the season, if I'm being totally honest. In season 1, we covered one Steven Soderbergh film every week, and there were 36 of them. And the time just flew by. It really did. It really did. We had a blast. For Billy Wilder, as Keir mentioned, he only has 25 films as a writer-director. So, Keir, why does it feel like this season's taking just a little bit longer?
It must be because we're not just filmographers, we are completists. There are like nearly a dozen books on Wilder, and we are doing our best to read them all.
Yeah, and we're scouring, for clips online. Obviously for clear and evident reasons, it was easier to find Soderbergh clips than it is to find Wilder clips and resources because they just didn't exist as much. So that has been a challenge, and we're doing our best to find it so we can get information straight from the horse's mouth and also share the clips in our episodes. In addition to that, we're listening to all the audio commentaries for the DVDs, and we're reading whatever scholarly essays that we can get our hands on.
It is a lot. But I guess we have to ask, if today's episode is about the top 5 Billy Wilder films so far, and we're not quite halfway, aren't we cheating?
Not unless you were counting on the Spirit of St. Louis being in your top 5.
Point taken. I am not.
Fair. All right. Then we are in the clear. So listeners, in short, these episodes have taken us way more time to produce than the Soderbergh episodes. And that's okay. We are loving the process and we're having a blast, and we hope you are too. And we appreciate your patience as we journey through Wilder's fascinating life and career. That said, we figured it would be fun for us to take a step back and share what we think of the films we have watched so far.
Ranking them is not going to get any easier. Some Like It Hot and The Apartment are coming right up.
Yeah, we got a big run coming up. But for right now, Keir, give me your one-sentence summary of Wilder's career so far.
Pretty damn good, Mike.
Well said. But you know, in the words of the master himself, Billy Wilder, he said, quote, "You have to dream big so you can get up in the morning," end quote. And Wilder, man, he always dreamed big, and it showed. Listeners, we're going to quickly race through the Wilder films we've covered already, so you can play along, because we want you to share your top 5 Wilders so far with us. If you have his filmography memorized, go ahead and skip ahead just a couple of minutes. But we'd rather you didn't. So stick with us, because we are going to just give a general overview. Now, as we've discussed, Wilder did some screenwriting in Germany and France, and even directed one movie. Keir, hit me with it because I'm going to butcher the title. Go ahead.
Mauvais Grain.
Well, I would have been close. I feel like I've been close enough that nobody would have noticed. But he directed Mauvais Grain in France before coming to Hollywood. Once in Hollywood, he became a screenwriter, teamed with the late, great Charles Brackett. But it wasn't until 1942 that he got his chance to both write and direct with the romantic comedy The Major and the Minor, starring Ginger Rogers and Ray Milland.
An underrated romantic comedy despite its troubling premise. 1 year later, in 1943, he made a war picture, 5 Grays to Cairo, starring Franchot Tone, Anne Baxter, and Erich von Stroheim.
It made Quentin Tarantino's list of the top 10 movies of all time, and you can take that honor however you'd like. In 1944, with only his 3rd film as writer-director, Wilder made an all-time classic, Double Indemnity, with Barbara Stanwyck and Fred MacMurray. But his co-writer for this one wasn't Charles Brackett, it was Raymond Chandler.
Brackett and Wilder reunited with each other and with Ray Milland for The Lost Weekend in 1945, winning Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Actor.
They were on a roll, and that roll came to a thudding halt with the Bing Crosby vehicle, The Emperor Waltz, in 1948. The less said about that, the better. You can listen to our episode instead of watching it, to be frank.
That same year, however, Wilder had a return to form, in our eyes anyway, with A Foreign Affair, a romantic comedy set in the ruins of post-war Berlin that starred Marlene Dietrich, Jean Arthur, and John Lund. It's a little uneven, but seriously underrated. And it's a movie that echoes one of our favorite Soderbergh movies, The Good German.
A Foreign Affair also had 2 more writers in addition to Brackett and Wilder, whose working relationship at that point was on the rocks. Their final collaboration, however, would be one of their greatest, Sunset Boulevard in 1950. Gloria Swanson, William Holden, Erich von Stroheim, perfection.
Post-Brackett, in full control of his destiny, Wilder made the scathing satirical drama Ace in the Hole, starring a virile Kirk Douglas as a reporter who slowly murders a man to get the story that puts him back on top. It's an amazing movie, but everyone hated it, and it almost ruined Wilder's career.
This began the middle phase of Wilder's career, in which he started doing the thing he said he'd never do: make movies from safe properties that were already commercially successful. The first was Stalag 17, a Broadway hit he turned into a 1953 movie starring his favorite leading man, William Holden.
The next was Sabrina, a 1954 romantic comedy drama that helped cement Audrey Hepburn's status as a star, alongside Humphrey Bogart and the, by now inevitable, William Holden. It's beautifully shot in black and white, and an elegant throwback to the films of Wilder's mentor, Ernst Lubitsch.
Which makes his next choice even more puzzling. The 7-Year Itch, a crass, color sex comedy starring Marilyn Monroe and Tom Ewell. I guess it's not so puzzling because the play that it was based on was a massive hit, and so was the movie.
In 1957, Wilder made a Charles Lindbergh biopic starring an aging Jimmy Stewart, his 12th film and not one of his top 5. But there's all sorts of interesting backstory, so we hope you'll listen to our full episode when it comes out on April 28th.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Lindbergh was a Nazi sympathizer. Didn't know if you knew that, Keir.
Oh, I know.
A curious choice for Billy Wilder, a Jewish man, to make. Yeah, so there was that. Jimmy Stewart walked off set at some point. That is a lively set. It's going to be a good episode, despite the movie being so-so. So, These are the films that we are considering for today's top 5. Listeners who have been following all the episodes probably have some idea of how we'll be ranking these, but as usual, Keir and I have not shared our lists with each other.
Mike, you know I struggle with making lists, but this was especially brutal. In fact, I'm still not sure I have my rankings the way I want them.
Well, good news. You have 2 minutes to get it done.
Thanks for joining us for Season 2 of the Filmographers podcast, our deep dive on the legendary writer-director, Billy Wilder.
We're grateful that more and more of you are choosing to support us on Patreon, and every month we show our appreciation by releasing ad-free versions of our main episodes on that platform, plus monthly episodes that are only available to our paid supporters. This month, our special episode is a commentary track for Wilder's masterpiece, Ace in the Hole.
Film fans love this movie now, but when it came out, it was savaged. Probably because Wilder's savage critique of journalists indicted the very people who wrote the reviews. We're going to do our best to share the stuff we couldn't squeeze into our regular episode.
So watch along with us, 2 guys sitting next to you who won't shut up. These exclusive episodes are available to paid supporters at any level. If you've been thinking about upgrading your membership, now is the time. Just visit patreon.com/thefilmographers-podcast to show your support.
Once again, that's patreon.com/thefilmographers-podcast. Thank you so much for your support. We do it for you, and we could not do it without you.
And thank you to Mike, our first Patreon supporter at the $10 level. Thank you, Mike. Mike's also sent us some awesome listener email, and we've been thrilled to discuss Wilder with him.
Mike told us how he found the show and why he likes it. He writes, I have had a blast following along. I haven't watched all the films with you so far, but your podcast has meant that I am watching Billy Wilder movies I'd never heard of, For an Affair, 5 Grades to Cairo, and rewatching the ones I saw as a kid on local TV stations, The Apartment, Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot. I love what you're doing so much that I am slowly and intermittently catching up on the films from your first season. But seriously, there's a lot there. Your podcast is just right for me, just the right amount of detail and banter. It helps that you both sound like guys I'd love to meet up with. That's what I'm looking for in a podcast, and I'm basically a fifth wheel along for the ride. Keep up the great work. So I got to say, thanks a million, Mike. And, you know, in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, this is not Mike M. This is Mike P., a real Mike who's out there in California. So thank you, Mike. Thanks for getting in touch. We hope you'll keep listening.
We also received a message via our website, filmographerspodcast.com, from Joe, who said, quote, Hi, I've just finished listening to your podcast. I have 7-Year Itch on DVD and recently watched it. I still like this film. I always place myself watching live in a theater playhouse. Great acting, but perhaps I don't get out enough. Ha! That's awesome. I'm with you, Joe. I don't get out enough either. Joe continues, I enjoyed your take on the film, the background on the production, Wilder, and more. Thank you for your hard work, research, and writing. And you make me laugh, end quote. Well, thank you, Joe. Wait till you get a load of my adventures in art forgery. So you have...
You will laugh along with us. And now, finally, time for our top 5 Billy Wilder films from the first half of season 2. Mike, I'm going to make this easy on myself. You go first.
Gladly. I will happily do it. I'll do it for you, Keir. Number 5 is maybe, again, we don't share these with each other, so this is maybe a surprising pick, Keir, but I'm going to go with A Foreign Affair. I don't know if that's a surprise or not, and I don't know if maybe my deep affinity for A Good German or The Good German is playing into this, and I'm just thinking of that movie, but I liked it the first time I saw it. Like we do with all these movies, we watch them a few times, we watch them again, then we watch with the commentary, and I just liked it more and more. The dialogue is really sharp. Marlene Dietrich is so awesome in this movie, and so is John Lund, like a very unsuspecting leading man. Never really got many opportunities to do that moving forward, but he got it here, and he was really good in it. And I loved how it looked, first of all. And I loved, it was ahead of its time in so many ways about the hypocrisy of just American foreign policy, America's prudishness for sex, basically, and love, and how those things are often, lust and love are also often confused. It just, like all things Wilder, it just had so many depths, so much depth, and so many layers that, like, it really, I don't know. It's a flawed movie for sure. There are things, and we did in our episode where we didn't gel with as much as other parts of the movie. But when you really take a step back, and I look at A Foreign Affair, I think it's a very intriguing movie, and it's a movie that, unfortunately, as we said, Wilder made less and less of for a long period. A very daring and interesting and provocative movie. Now, he would get back to doing stuff like that when he teams with IAL Diamond, which we will get to in the second half of our season, which is where we're coming next. But, like, there's a period where he's making the 7-Year Itches and the Stalag 17s, etc. And he got away from the Foreign Affairs and the Ace in the Holes. And it's unfortunate, because while flawed, A Foreign Affair is really, really good, and I will take the flawed attempt than, I'll be frank, than something like Stalag 17, that, while a bigger success and did more for Wilder professionally than Foreign Affair did, and I think A Foreign Affair, if memory serves, did pretty well, but I will take that interesting attempt that succeeds 75% of the time than the safe choice of Stalag 17, that a bigger hit, but to me, a less memorable movie.
That's a great pick, and I'm not at all surprised to find that in your top 5. I actually was quite confident that would show up in your top 5 for a number of reasons, for many of the reasons you just stated. And I think this kind of gets to, like, why do we choose the films we do for our top 5? And I wrestled with this, as you know, as listeners know. I find rankings just absolutely agonizing. I'm unable to go with my gut. I have to overthink them and feel quite miserable about it. And then at the last minute, I usually switch something out. But I thought about it a lot. And, on the one hand, if I just did my list as watching enjoyment, it would probably be quite different. But I'm also not doing my list as what do I think are objectively the best Billy Wilder films that will have the greatest legacy, or that are most appreciated by other people. I'm not doing that either. Where I really came down with my list was, which films to me feel the most ambitious and the most like Wilder, the most personal, and also the films that I enjoy the most. And so I kind of blended all those three, and that's kind of how I came up with my list. And I was, we'll talk about it maybe when we get through our top 5s, but when I kind of settled on those as my criteria, I ended up finding that some films that I really enjoy quite a bit and that are perfectly good films really quickly fell to the middle. And some films that I didn't think necessarily would make it to my top 5 suddenly did, because I thought, these are Wilder the artist. These are Wilder, the Wilder we've gotten to know as we've researched him and explored his life and career. These are the films that really say something and strike a nerve.
And that was a lovely explanation.
Oh,
but I also I wish we can insert, for the audio listeners visually, they'll probably know I mean the Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's got the everything pasted to the board and the strings and the like the conspiracy theory. Keir working on his top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
The vectors of what the criteria are.
You should post that on Instagram and all the socials.
We'll put your face over it.
Yeah.
Kevin, get on it.
A film that I was surprised to find in number 5 on my list, because it really wasn't there for the first few iterations of my list, was The Lost Weekend, which is a film that, in some ways it feels more dated now. But when I put myself back in the seat of somebody watching it at the time, and I think about how daring and ahead of its time it was, and also just how raw and uncompromising it is, despite the ending. As we say, none of these films are without their flaws and market realities and just the realities of making studio pictures at the time. Sometimes these things aren't quite the auteur gems we want them to be, but it is a raw, powerful, uncompromising film. And Ray Milland, who is a guy who is adept at light comedy and just so good in The Major and the Minor, which honestly came close to top 5 for me. He's adorable as a leading man, a sure-footed man in a light comedy in The Major and the Minor. He turns in this powerful, haggard, haunting performance as a barely redeemed alcoholic in The Lost Weekend. And I think it's still a film with a lot of power. And again, I think I find it to be one of the more impressive early Wilders because of its ambition and because of its scope, because of what he is trying to do. And it's kind of shocking that it was as successful as it was. Now, we know this film won some Oscars that in retrospect you might not award. It kind of got some makeup Oscars. That happens, whatever. We certainly don't really factor Oscars into our rankings because we know how imperfect that system is. But I just think that, as you said with Foreign Affair, it's got flaws, but despite its flaws, it just remains a really powerful Brackett and Wilder film. And so number 5 for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great pick. And I figured that would be in your top 5. I know you like that one a lot. And it was sort of close for me. It's a movie I appreciate. But I will say this, I think both of our number 6, for what it's worth, would be The Major and the Minor. Like, it's a very charming, very fun movie with great performances from Milland and Ginger Rogers. So I think that's safe to say, right? If we had a 6.
I think so. It's so underrated. Because Wilder made so many great films, I think it's just seen as this kind of throwaway trifle. But it really holds its own among the films of the time, and it's consistently funny. It's consistent in what it sets out to do and achieves. And I watched that film 3 times for our episode, and I enjoyed it every time.
Yeah, no, I like that one. I like that one a lot. But unfortunately, this is a top 5, not a top 6. So sorry to you, Major and the Minor, but hey, we give you a mention. Number 4 for me is Sabrina, a movie that I had seen before. I'd seen before a few times, I believe, and I just find endlessly charming. I know that there's people, and I was surprised because when I watched it before, you watch it and you just kind of move on like a normal human being. But like I've watched it now with the gaze of this episode and doing research on it. I was very surprised to find so many people have a pretty negative reaction to it, which I guess is fair in some ways. It's mostly revolving around Humphrey Bogart and his performance, and he was too old for Hepburn. And look, if that's how you feel, don't look at her other movies because it doesn't get better. But the reality is, like, that may be true, and I'm not discounting that, but I think for my money, and I love Bogart in general, I thought he was great. I thought he, despite also listen to the episode, many troubles on set, him and Wilder and Hepburn and Holden did not get along, but it just goes to show just how good he is, that even when he's, for lack of a term, phoning in and also dying, that like he is still fantastic. He is still funny when he needs to be funny and serious, and he has such range, and Hepburn is charming, and it's just this wonderful throwback to a Lubitsch movie. Basically, there's so many visual flourishes, there's so many double, there's so many innuendos, like the soufflés moment. That's such a Lubitsch scene. Wilder's clearly trying to, I don't want to say ape Lubitsch, but be
Channel.
Lubitsch in a way. And yeah, and he's earned it. He worked with Lubitsch, and Lubitsch was both his mentor and father figure, so he's earned the right to do that. It's beautifully shot. It looks absolutely dazzling. The script is crisp, and I don't know. It's just such a solid, absolute solid B+ movie that like it's hard to, and such a classic movie, and fits into that like Hollywood romance that we don't unfortunately get so much anymore. And it's a movie that I really love, and I've come to appreciate more and more with what we do here, rather than going the opposite direction, despite what I've saw that people's reactions are always not very positive to it. So I love Sabrina, and it is my number 4.
Yeah, I am surprised by the hate for it as well, as we discussed in our episode about that. It's a film I really came around on. First time I saw it, I thought it was really flat and uninteresting, and the more I watched it, the more I liked it. And I agree, it's a beautiful film, and I think that if there's a reason it didn't make my top 5, it's probably just because it didn't feel as much of a personal film. Although you could argue it's very personal in his homage to Lubitsch, but it felt a little more Lubitchian than Wilder to me. But it's kind of, it's a high middle film for me. I I came around quite a bit. I was surprised. A friend of mine, Mark, who I don't know if he listens to the show or not, but he commented on one of our Facebook posts that he hates Sabrina, hates it, despises it. And I was like, wow, that's, strong reaction. But
Wow.
I think that's a solid pick. I respect it. Didn't make my top 5, but it's got a hell of a lot going for it. My top 4, my 4th favorite Wilder from the first half may surprise you a little bit, but you've already said it. It's A Foreign Affair. That is a film that the first time I watched it, I thought Jean Arthur was annoying. I thought it was pretty rough. As you say, there's definitely some flaws, but it's a film that really grew on me with each rewatch. And I don't know if sometimes we like talk ourselves into liking these movies more or what, but there were so many things about it. And ultimately, I just thought, God, this is such a Wilder film because it is so daring and it's so cynical, but it's such an improbable mix of things: the location in post-war Berlin, the romantic comedy, the darkness, the light, the personal connections to the material. It just felt, I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I like it conceptually, and I agree it's got problems, but I think, we both agree. I'd always rather celebrate something that really swings for the fences and doesn't quite, get out of the park, if I'm going to belabor the baseball metaphor, than somebody just a safe single, right? Okay, sorry with the enough baseball.
It's baseball season, Keir.
It is baseball season. It is baseball season. And yeah, I find it such an interesting movie, and it's only more interesting when you consider it in the context of these other films that we love, whether it's The Third Man or The Good German. It's a rich subject and a rich time to explore, and it feels like a quintessentially Wilder film to me because it's got all the elements. It's got it's got the imposter, right, and it's got that is certainly one of the, to me, if you're talking about a quintessential Wilder film, it's somebody who's pretending to be somebody else, and that is in almost all of the great Wilder films. It appears there, but also just, God, what he got Marlene Dietrich to do in that film, and the fact that this is 3 years after the war. It came out in 1948. Wilder lost family in the Holocaust, and here he is daring to go back and actually, set something in the ruins of this country where he's suffered so much, and he's going to make his points not with savagery but with humor. Mike, what did you pick for number 3? I have a feeling we're going to have some overlap in our top 3 films. I'll be curious if there are surprises.
Yes, Keir. I think it's a matter right now, not of what the 1 through 3 are, but how they're going to shake out. My number 3 is Double Indemnity. I don't really know. There's not a whole lot that I need to say. What do you need to say at this point? It is the quintessential noir. Everything about it absolutely works. Everything is like the thing of it. Barbara Stanwyck is the femme fatale. Fred McMurray is the dopey male who gets, lured into an obvious trap. It's shot remarkably well. Raymond Chandler, who we already mentioned, wrote the screenplay, and the dialogue is super crisp. A lot of it taken from Kane, a lot of it left out, which I think he made the right decisions because we read the book, we did the book club. It's an all-time classic. It's one of the best of all time. There's just, like I said, there's not much that I can really say that we haven't already said, that somebody else hasn't already said. Double Indemnity is one of the greatest noirs of all time. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. There is nothing about it that doesn't work, which is remarkable, which is a testament to Wilder, Keir, because it's remarkable that it's basically a perfect movie, and it's number 3.
It's number 3 on our list, and it's the 3rd movie they made. So there you go. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Our 4 and 5 picks, there's a certain amount of kind of we've got to justify them or defend them a little bit or whatever. I can't see too many people arguing with Double Indemnity in the top 3. There may be noir fans who want to place it a little higher, but hey, we've got a couple of very interesting films also in the running. Yes, My number 3 pick was Double Indemnity.
Interesting.
Yes, I complete agreement with you. I love the film. I adore it. If we were just talking crime films or film noir, I mean, it'd be serious contention to be number 1. But and you can argue that the films that are going to be ahead of it have some of those elements as well. This is much more of a pure film noir. I adore it. I adore Barbara Stanwyck. Fred McMurray. I'm not like a Fred McMurray fan per se, but this was the perfect casting of Fred McMurray. This is wonderful casting against type. And oh my God. And just so many of the supporting roles in this, whether it's the man from Medford or Edward G. Robinson as Keys, there are lots of good little cameos. Top-notch film. One of my favorite memories of this season of recording the Filmographers podcast is presenting that film at the Music Box, our favorite theater in Chicago, to a packed house. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful movie. Mike, who do you have for number 2?
So my number 2, really quick, I do have to get a shout out to Edward G. Robinson, who I should have mentioned. I mean, his monologue about the various ways of suicide, poisoning suicide, what kind of suicide, jumping off a cliff, jumping off the I'm doing it no justice, but one of the great all-time moments of any Billy Wilder movie, and one of the great all-time performances. God, he was effortlessly amazing, and also delivered his lines crisply, and from what I understand, 1 or 2 takes where McMurray, as we both know, Keir, was a line flubber, which drove Wilder nuts.
Yeah, Robinson was a pro's pro, showed up ready to go, nailed it, and they were ready to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of moving on, my number 2 is Sunset Boulevard, another movie, Keir, that we presented this time in Milwaukee at the Oriental Theater, which was another just absolutely fantastic, just great time that we had, and a great presentation, great crowd. But Sunset Boulevard, like Double Indemnity, which is the greatest noir of all time, Sunset Boulevard is arguably the greatest movie about movies of all time. The daringness, the audacity, the guts that it took for Wilder to make this movie, where he is pulling out, Gloria Swanson. He's pulling out these silent film actors and basically parading them in front of Hollywood, which is very daring, and nobody wanted to see that. These were people who were basically haunting Hollywood at the time, because they still were alive, they still were around, but nobody wanted to hire Buster Keaton anymore. Nobody wanted to hire Gloria Swanson anymore, although she had moved to New York at that point. And he really kind of rubbed people's noses in the fact that they abandoned these pantheons of the very industry that they were working in, and acted like basically they didn't exist. It's a smart film. It's one of the best scripts of all time. I mean, the line after line that is just infinitely quotable. It looks fantastic, talking about the black and white and the noir. I mean, Wilder has said on numerous occasions that he's not a visual director. He is absolutely wrong. We've pointed that out time after time. Lost Weekend looks great. Sabrina looks great. This looks great. You can go on and on. Sunset Boulevard is one of the best, and it is wild that it's only number 2.
Well, my number 2 is, I wrestled with my number 1 and number 2 as I wrestled with this whole list, but this is basically neck and neck for me. But I chose for number 2 Ace in the Hole. Ace in the Hole, in some ways, might be my favorite Wilder movie of so far, but I felt I'll get when I get to Sunset Boulevard, which I'm obviously revealing. This is revealing the first runner-up in Miss America or something like that. So clearly, Sunset Boulevard is going to be my number 1. But Ace in the Hole, for me, is just a phenomenal movie. It's kind of wild that it has a lot of fans among Wilderologists, but it's also kind of not. It's almost a forgotten movie, because it just does not have the kind of legacy that Sunset or Double Indemnity have, or certainly a lot of the other lighter Wilder movies. Ace in the Hole, to me, is just a ferocious, uncompromising, a movie that almost exists out of time. Kirk Douglas is electric in it, and the movie moves like a locomotive, and it's such an incredible. I mean, to me, it's a noir film as well. Some people would argue that point, but it's such an incredible portrait of a man engineering his own downfall, his own moral downfall, and by the time he has qualms, it's too late to do anything about it. The movie is tight. It's incredibly well put together. It's got stunning visuals. It was one of the biggest scales that Wilder had ever worked on, and he absolutely nails it. I mean, he likes to work in the studio, but here he's working on location outside in the Southwest with huge crowds. No problem. Pulls it all off. The whole movie just works. It's unforgettable. It's searing. And I absolutely love that movie. And yet it's not my first choice, which I'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, Keir. I mean, you nailed it with Ace in the Hole. I feel like it's the insider baseball to extend our baseball talk of Wilder movies, and it's my number one. I think it's probably one of the, and I've seen a lot of I've seen Martyrs, guys, and Ace in the Hole is one of the darkest movies I've ever seen. It's such a relentless and ruthless portrait of America, and he nails it. And was salient then. It's even more salient now, unfortunately. Kirk Douglas gives a tour de force performance. Hey fan, like it's so he's so gnarly and nasty, and you feel his charisma escaping through that darkness. And I don't know, I don't know how he balances the two so well. I don't know another performer who can do it. I don't know who else could pull off, because he's so handsome, which helps, but he's just so remarkably nasty at the same time.
Yeah.
It is, like you said, the scope, the scale, the carnival, the mine, all of it is just in utter harmony. The movie is so harmonious with itself, because it has somehow, despite it having the multiple writers and coming at this challenging time and this challenging movie, it has this remarkable harmony, because it has a clarity of vision that is so hard to achieve. A clarity of vision that's shared with, obviously Wilder, the director, Douglas. Every person who's in this movie knows exactly their role. I mean, I apologize, I can't remember Leo's wife's name, but she is absolute perfection. Her character's perfection. Her performance is perfection. It is a movie that's in one of my favorite movies, period, of all time. There's not a single moment that I would change, and there are probably a dozen moments that I will remember forever, like the belt and suspenders, man. I mean, like the belt and suspenders line, Kirk Douglas's negotiating moment, and then the jump in time where he, walks to the camera, blacks out, and then comes back and he's wearing the suspenders. There are so many flourishes that are absolute genius, and you pair that then with the pulling it back to the movie itself, the big scale, the small scale, every single thing about this thing works. It's daring, it's bold, there's nothing else like it. It is an all-timer. It is an absolute all-timer, and it speaks volumes that in a man who made a lot of all-timers, and we've got more of them to come, Ace in the Hole is absolutely remarkable. It is my number one. So, Keir, we already know you're number one. You told us when you're talking about Ace in the Hole, but I want to know your reason, because I'm curious. I thought for sure Ace would be your number one as well. So tell us, Keir, why, how did Sunset Boulevard beat out Ace in the Hole for your number one?
I thought Ace in the Hole would be my Limey. Limey being my favorite Soderbergh film that's not necessarily everybody's favorite Soderbergh film. I thought it would be, but the more I thought about Sunset Boulevard, the more I thought about the way it created what David Lynch would call the dream. It's like a dream. The more I thought about Gloria Swanson's unbelievable performance, and then I thought about the fact that Ace in the Hole has one unbelievable lead performance in Kirk Douglas, and he is a giant in that movie, and he's got a great supporting cast, but it's him. And Sunset Boulevard has two remarkable lead performances with Gloria Swanson and William Holden. William Holden maybe gets a little less of the credit because Swanson is just so, it's a showy role, obviously, all those people out there in the dark, she gets a lot of the most amazing lines. And his whole thing is kind of understated self-hatred, but it's a remarkably nuanced performance. And as somebody remarked, it's like, in a way, they're in two different movies, but it works. He's playing in a modern movie and she's playing in a silent movie. And that friction is one of the things that makes it such an amazing, amazing film. And I think that in some ways, Wilder manages to make a personal film that also has broader scope and reach than Ace in the Hole does. And as you say, also a fearless film because he was indicting his very industry. He was indicting many of his peers. That is a very brave, Wilder was a brave man until, of course, he lost a little bit of his cojones after Ace in the Hole's reception. But, I think that they're both very representative of Wilder's oeuvre. They're both representative of who he is. They're both equally deserving of being the his best movie of this period. But I don't know. I when I started thinking about the quotable lines and the unforgettable moments and the shots like Joe Gillis floating in the pool, or Norma rising into the projector light, or Norma coming down the stairs at the end, I just thought, this movie just has it all. It is just end-to-end perfection. And so I gave it the nod. But I will say this was a photo finish for me.
Well, you know what? I will take the mantle as the Limey this year. I forget. Oh, my number one was Out of Sight. My number one for Soderbergh was the classic pick, I think you can say. And you had the Outsiders pick, so we swapped roles this time around.
We're doing a little bit of role reversal. Listeners, we hope you have enjoyed our look back at the first 11 or 12 films of 12th is coming up of Billy Wilder. And we hope you'll stay with us the rest of the season. We're going to do our best to keep our 2 films a month pace going. As Mike said earlier on, and as we both said, it's a lot of work. We're going to keep doing the work so that we can share our discoveries with you, and we hope you'll stay with us. And we also really, really hope that you will email us or share in a post or a comment or just anywhere, what are your top 5 Wilder films? We would love to know. Obviously, there can be lots of different interesting rankings, lots of ways to look at it. We left some pretty great films off our lists completely. So please get in touch. Let us know, what are your top 5 Wilders?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even mention Five Graves to Cairo, which I'm surprised, sort of. I don't know, maybe it's the stench of Tarantino that kept it off our list.
I honestly I thought that was going to be your number 5. I thought it was, you were going to go number 5, Five Graves, number 4, For an Affair.
Oh, interesting. Well, that would have left Sabrina off then, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I knew Sabrina was maybe there, but any rate.
Yeah, I thought Sabrina was there for you. I missed the Lost Weekend. Anyway, like Keir says, shoot us an email. We are the Filmographers Podcast at gmail.com. Tell us your rankings. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us anything you want to know, or anything you think about Wilder or about Soderbergh and AI. It was it's an interesting topic for sure, and we want to send our thanks to everyone, like Keir said, all our listeners. But in addition to the thanks to you, our listeners, and our Patreon supporters, thank you to our fantastic producer Kevin Lau, who makes our podcast sound and look like it costs more than it does to produce. He is a miracle worker. Thank you, Kevin. You're the best.
Thank you, Kevin. Our theme music was composed and played by Gompson, who has a new album out. It's called Dwell On. It's great, and we encourage you to check it out on Bandcamp, or if you must, Spotify. Our graphic design is by Cosmo Graff.
Join us next time when Billy Wilder either takes flight or, more accurately, crashes to Earth in the spirit of St. Louis.
Mm.